Good morning, 11:52. So, what did I do? Oh, I wanted to do with plants. Stand or wilt? I'm being funny. Like, now I'm not singing it, but I have a song in my head. Can't remember the band. That's making me a little mental. Maybe I'll look it up. Previously I did videos when my plants were like quite a bit shorter because they'd been poisoned so much they never were able to grow in here until the last year or two, whenever it was that I started working with Deputy. So, yeah, check out my eyes. That one I banged into. Not bad. I mean, I'm seeing everybody else, they look quite a bit baggier than me, so we'll see who's last one standing and wilted. But anyway, so my plants, and last night was the window. I wish it would have been light so that because it's clear, you can't really see that it was ballooned out. These curtains used to do the same thing as balloon out. And I saw down here, you can see, I'm just saying, oh gosh, turn it. You can see like this giant gap. I don't tape things with giant gaps like that. I just don't. Even if it went down there to the end, there would be another piece of tape on top. And same here. This gap, because it irritates my OCD. I mean, you can see over here. That's how I do stuff. I mean, over here, there, I'm sure, yeah, and you can see that this is all loosened. This tape doesn't really get loose. It's fucking Gorilla Tape, man. So it doesn't get loose unless it has help getting loose, and there is stuff here. There's a big ass gap right there, so yeah, I actually remember putting quite a bit of tape like that. See how that's taped to shit? That's how this was. So you can see they come in, they strip up one piece of tape, two pieces of tape. I'm gonna tape that area today. Pull a little bit up, a little bit up. Let me fix this too. So yeah, this, I think, yeah, there's, so when I'm saying that this is loose, it should just be pulled tight like a drum, not bowled out. This is a different window. It's just easier to get to. But this is the same thing that was going on. And so the curtains used to do that too. Not all the time. Not in any rhyme or reason really, with whether it was windy from this side of the house or another side of the house, but they would bell out. I tried to take bunches of, but I wasn't very, I suck at, obviously suck at video stuff. Same over here. This looked like it was completely solid and hadn't been messed with, but when you got underneath, there was just like one inky dinky, two inky dinky little bits of tape removed, or cut, that made it so that it was so that there was actually an airflow in that area. The same thing got done over here, but I fixed it. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, look at all that tape. I just tape stuff pretty solid. Oh, so over here at this window. So last night I was trying to show how it's loose, and then it was like pulled out, but not from being pulled like that. I just pulled my tape. I don't know how to explain it. Instead of being wobbly and loose, because it's been wobbly and loose and irritating me, and I have to redo it. So for it to be blowed out like a balloon was irritating. And what I think will happen is that my plants will have some issues. And what they're going to try and do is they have been attacking this plant. That's why this window, because it's getting chemical dosages, because look what's happening from being near the window. Can you see that? That's from being, and it's not the cold, it's the chemicals that come in. Look at that. I'm going to bring this into the light. I'm going to bring this into the light, man. Actually, there's some light right there. So you can see. That's from chemicals. It should be standing straight up. And in fact, you can see that funky chemicals are going on it too, because it's the leaves are curling. Like, I don't know how to explain. And they get really like skinny and weirdly shaped. So I would guess that there's hormones going on to it and some sort of, I don't know what, herbicide? I don't know what causes this. But I know that, yeah, see, look at that. That's what happens when they get near the window and that weird shit comes in. This one will probably end up with some dead leaves right now. Everything is completely green. These white, I think might be related to fungus when fungus comes in. I've been told by people about, oh, fungus and foot fungus. And I noticed that when one of them showed up in Salem, the first thing they said to me when I opened the door before I even really turned and they could see my feet is, you've got normal feet. And I was like, yeah. And that was JC Superstar. Teenage jailbait superstar. So yeah. And Betty's grown up then, of course, showing up at my house in Salem, Oregon. They're very good at showing up at my house. And so he hadn't even had a chance to see my feet. So obviously looking backwards, I have to think, oh, he was cute to say that. And then the second time I went to Salem, I did notice that my feet, when I would soak in the bathtub, the first week or 2 weeks that I was there, just black tar came off of them, right? And got on my bathtub. And then I wasn't doing nothing in the bathtub. I just had, I had some detox in there, some kind of salt. And then my feet got normal again and all nice. And this is as an adult, and I think I was living in Spokane, yeah. So I wasn't walking around a lot barefoot or anything either. But it did clean it out from this area, and then when I get back here, just immediately your feet get screwed up, and the way that they get screwed up actually had something to do with something that gets put on the yard, because I noticed that it only happened some of the time, and leaf stuff and blah blah blah. So back to the plants. So when I first was squawking, before this could even grow at all, it was like all the pieces were about this long as this one. None of them had gotten any longer because it was getting killed. Anytime it would get longer, someone would come in, or I guess don't even have to come in, just spray shit from the outside is what I discovered since then. But these length of branches or vines or whatever were just the same way as that cactus over there. They were just like bleh, bleh, just at this length. And I mean, theoretically they could have lied down, but look at doing, that's pretty erect. Oh, there goes a little terrorist kid practicing. No, they're probably they might be just enjoying the snow and not spying on my internet, even though that's what this place is about. Before we had the internet to get spied on, there was party phone lines where you could just pick up the phone line, and yeah, that was grim. So stuff does come in from that side, and you can see, because there'll be the same wonky dead leaf thing, but you can see that these are also, look at, doink, doink. I mean, that's even this one that's kind of like not doing so great because it's got Christmas decorations hanging on it. There's life to it. They're not just like hanging the way that stuff is. And this stuff has no business hanging either, except for the poison that got pushed in through the window. And I'm going to say that Mrs. Little's town clerk was just hugely interested in this. That like the first time that I did it, the next thing I look out and there's cars parked out there. So I go to the front door and I look out, and it was Little Miss Town Clerk parked right there headed towards Front Street with her assistant parked in the other direction, headed towards that direction. And they just kept staring at my house, acting like they were having a conversation, but really checking out the taping on this window. And then the next time I walked, it was peeled off. So I put it on again, and I put it on really serious. And the next time I looked out here, and I noticed that the tape pattern was different. So I go out and I look, and it had been peeled. So I think, yeah. So, yeah. That's what people engage in here, apparently. Of course, that proves nothing, I guess. To other people, it will prove nothing. Even if I had videotape of her literally coming and putting a hose in my window, though, it would prove nothing. So, yep. That is the deal. So, yeah, the town clerk and then I did, then I put the tape again after it got taken off again, and I did a tape test because it was flapping. The next time it was flapping. This is like all this paperwork, the notes got taken away too. So I don't have any notes to refer to on it, because that was when they really still had complete free-for-all access to my house without me being able to have any clue that, I mean, I had the clue of my stuff missing, but I didn't have any way of proving. Now I do. So it doesn't stop anybody from coming in. It just makes it so that I know when they've been in and I can turn it in. And then when shit shows up, I'm like, oh, that's what they were doing. So for this, though, I did a tape test, stress test. I put the tape on, and then I sat here right there at the kitchen table with a notebook, and I did a distress test, and I set a timer. And for like the next, OCD, I got nothing to do. For the next like 2 or 3 hours, I just went out there every 15 minutes and I checked it and checked it and checked it every 15 minutes. And I documented and documented and documented. And actually, I think it was 5 hours. I mean, I didn't just sit there for the full 5 hours though, but I did keep the timer on and track it. And it was a long amount of time, but I did it. And so what I noticed after the stress test is that it was noontime heat, and the sun was not melting the glue off and causing the tape to flap around. And out on the other side, I had some tape on for years, so I already knew this. The next thing I knew, that disappeared out of my notebook. The page just got torn out, which is why it got suggested that I write things in a notebook that has a sewn binding. Unfortunately, I have a lot of spiral bound notebooks, and I've already written stuff in it, so I'm just going to try and transfer it to the internet. But yeah, that got taken, and so did the temperature messing with thing. And like, because I was tracking temperature outside compared to the temperature inside, and then temperature rise over a degree of amount of time during a certain time of the day, and etc. Yeah. Leland. So, pretty funny. Speaking of poison and poisonous people and poison applicators. You do your job out there. You're doing some good work. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of my puppy. Yeah, I'm with you. Muffle watches. Then he guards. Yeah, like that. So, none of my dogs like that man, and he openly told me. I know I harp on it. He openly told me that he shot at the old dogs. He openly told me that he shot at the old dogs. But I'm just saying that none of them like him, and I'm pretty convinced that he used to take Pax and deposit her in places, and then she'd show up back at home, because she's not the type of dog that ever left the yard. And he did the same thing with Mocha. I did it once with Mindful. One time. I don't think it was a real good time for the boy, because he don't like dogs and dogs don't like him. So, some people just like to intimidate things. Mindful's not too impressed with people that are like that. or dogs for that matter. He gets irritated. It's pretty funny. He has like this concept of manners. All my dogs are like, you're being bad, that's bad manners, because they're little goody two-shoes. The end of this video. Oh yeah, so the stress testing disappeared out of my book, so I didn't have track of it, and yeah, that's what happens to my plants. Same kind of weird shit that happens in the yard. So when I say that I'm not impressed with the bags of Satan or the other game, insect game, with where you spray like a combination of, I guess it's a combination of that wasp bait that goes in those wasp traps that hang and get bait, and then the wasps crawl up and try and get it, and then they get stuck in there. I think it's a combination of that plus soda pop and water. And you make a concentrated formula. Then you probably shake the soda pop like this, because it's that bitch that invented it, right? Little bitch queen across the street. And then let go and so you're being both malicious in the future and malicious right then, because you get to have that big spazzed out kind of physical thing of the pop bottle exploding, and that would really go over well with her psyche, because she's kind of an aggressive little twit, but she doesn't let it out because she's a coward. Some weasels want to eat the chickens, but they're scared. Scared of the chickens. I ain't a chicken either. I'm a mongoose.